Let's do a tour, and then you can decide where we go next with your recording. So, this is what I call my make room.
Right.
Where things get made. So ukuleles will have their birth, as it were, in this room. It's supposed to be a clean room, but it just isn't. I've never been able to control dust.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the bane of anybody who's a woodworker is trying to control dust. So I don't wear a dust mask. I don't have silicosis or anything like that. I snort stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good at it. So most of this is what was originally here. Now I'm downsizing. This is also part of the storeroom. So as you're panning here, Kevin, let me show you. These are my Koa sets. So that there alone is about £10,000 worth of wood. And it goes along. There's Koa here. There's pine sets for spruce fronted instruments. All of my Californian style tenor instruments, wood is here. So that's a selection of rosewood, and the last lots of myrtle from Les Stansel. Les Stansel is a ukulele maker, flamenco guitar maker in Oregon. Visited with him. So these are my wood sets that have already been sawn. Here is my neck blanks. SM stands for Sweetenia macrophylla. So these are true mahogany. Right. And I bought those. What I used to do is I used to scour eBay and look for a very specific size piece of timber. 10 foot long, 20 inches wide, 3 to 4 inches thick. And that would be Brazilian or Sweetenia macrophylla, because it would have come across in the country as dunnage in the bottom of the ship, the ballast. Right. And that was the dimension of that wood. So that's Sweetenia. There's an ebony log up there. You see the newspaper on the end there. It's just, when I buy wood, it's got to be old. It's not got to be freshly sawn or anything like that. Right. I bought this as half a log, and from the newspaper that was on the outside, there was the ad section. In the ad section it said, flat for rent, Russell Square, £75, 5 shillings and 6pence per week.
They can date it from that.
And that was able to date it from that. This came to the country in 1973.
Wow.
So the Revelator stuff can date that. Yeah. That came into the country in 1996.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, there were big cubic pallets with a cubic metre of Carina or Black Nimber on it. Felixstowe, 1996 batch number.
Wow.
And yeah, along with that wood there, which is Caira ivorensis. It's the South American variety that grows in Africa. So it's exactly the same sort of species, but has a different growth to it. Right. And so this tends to be very sweet in working. That tends to be coarser, lots grittier. You can see the. You look at this here. That figure there. That's called roe. Where you have, and that's caused by, you don't get that in the South American one. In Africa, the tree will gradually turn. It gets to a point and then it starts to turn back as it grows over time. Right. And that's what happens in Africa. I don't know why it is, and that's why you get the stripy stuff in the mahogany. But you don't get that same feature in Brazilian.
Right. Oh, okay.
They tend just to continue to grow. So, right. So this is my my neck wood, my electric ukulele wood, right. And my fingerboards. And then I have other collections of wood all over the place. So these are all my moulds. Those are current projects. I've got 10 electric ukulele to make in November with a student. And then I'll have parts here which are pre-made. So that's all these are head plates. So if I'll take that and I'll slice that into parts for head plates. and we end up with veneers like this. So I like to control, and that's not purchased. That's created by me, as it were. And then obviously we expect fingerboards next. My favourite wood at the moment for fingerboards is Santos rosewood, Palferro. It's not really, it's technically not a rosewood, but it went on CITES because it was called rosewood. And then we have for inlay work.
Oh, okay.
Ebony.
Yeah. Wow.
But again, parts.
Yeah.
So then this is my bench where my favourite tools are. If the workshop was on fire, there's one tool that would come out with me, and it would be this. I've made more instruments with that. It's a Battier, you know, the cutlery people. They make carving knives as well. This used to be my spray room only. It's in the process of being converted. More shelving to go up there. But again, this is where all my machinery will eventually live. My machinery is always on casters. So, for instance, this is a for doing radius. This is a radius-ish machine which I built from a potter's wheel.
That's potter's wheel.
Yeah, it's built from a potter's wheel. Yeah. So I'll put a big disc on there. It'll rotate, and I'll put the. You end up as a ukulele maker or as a luthier making a lot of your own tools. Yeah. And then here's the residue of my wood. My second CNC machine, which is used for doing electric guitars and stuff. But all of this wood up here is for my craft projects. I do other things. I make boxes and stuff with the CNC machine. And then here's the remainder of the ukulele wood. So what we'll have is this is all my brace stock. If we're looking at sort of unusual wood I've never been able to make an instrument out of it, but Anarchy makes a lot, and this is a Port Orford cedar, POC.
You know I love the smell of it.
Paul's.
That's sweet, isn't it? Really sweet.
Yeah.
The first thing Paul does is smell a ukulele.
But I managed to not sniff that one out there. I was tempted, but I didn't. Yeah, it's really sweet smell, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cedar. So all cedar has an aromatic.
Yeah.
I've got some pencil cedar, which is just super duper.
That one's like more musky, isn't it? Slightly.
Yeah. You should have a Proustian moment here when you smell this and think, oh, I used to walk up to the teacher's desk and sharpen my pencil. This is the English ukulele wood. This is English cherry.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's thinking of starting making ukulele and can't afford the £300 or £400 it costs now to buy a Koa set, cherries are stuff to use. Can't go wrong. It makes beautiful instruments. You can do everything from the body to the neck. You can make solid front, all cherry. Do you want to read the public liability certificate first before we go in the room?
I think we'll be all right.
Be careful, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the room which I'm trashing in order to move into there. So this was once filled with wood, and is filled with wood no longer. So up there used to be racking. I was producing about 6 to 8 instruments a month.
Wow, I mean
up until about a couple of years ago, and I started to scale back. But you know, this is the Revelators.
Yeah, you can see that.
Oh, wow, you can't you?
Yeah. Some wood turner's going to come and take this stuff away from me tomorrow. But these were 6 foot long by 6 by 6 inches, or 7 by 7 inches, or 8 by 8 inches. I've still got some next door, which my programmer bought for making electric guitars, which he can no longer do, unfortunately. Everything from very simple tools like this. If anybody's starting out in the business, you must have one of these, which is a table router. You run all your templates off that. I've discovered this recently. It's my resaw come general machine. Again, if you're starting out, this is a Makita. When Makitas first came into the country, the slogan was "Make it neater with Makita." That was a really great slogan. But discovered this saw and excellent. I used to have a huge resaw there. So if you're starting out and want to be a maker, must have a bandsaw, must have a router, and you must have one of these routers as well. There's a cordless router trimmer, and those are your, along with a cordless drill. That's all you need to do to start. Wow. And then come to me and I'll make your moulds for you and we can go from there. But we'll look at the mould later on.
All the wood that you have.
Do you pick those, like the Revelator wood, do you pick that specific as in that specific piece of wood?
So this, right, if you take a look at this particular piece here, this is the end of the wood. So the tree grew like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at what's called the end grain. So I will take a look at this from the billet, and I will take a look at this first of all. What I can see here is, first of all, black spidery lines there, variegation, and also there's a wobble in the wood. So if I look on the surface here, I can see where it's been through a machine planer, it's got some pits which have been pulled out of it. This tells me that the wood is wavy and tells me that it's got a figure. So when I select it, this will not go into a body. This is going to be tops.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
However, this piece, although it's nice, it's got some variegation at the side. You can just see it's got some figure in there. It's got some flames. This is just about makes it into tops.
Yeah.
And what Carla is doing with these, because when I went to Carla, we flew off to Los Angeles to a timber yard, and we bought some beautiful planks of white limber with figuring, which Carla now did. There's a brilliant guy at Carla. Shout out to you. His name is Frankie. He's a brilliant finisher. Absolutely fair. And he's doing some colour bursts now.
Yeah.
And using the flame, so that's PRS.
Yeah.
But the whole body.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so you got not only the front, so you've got the whole body looking really good and being enhanced by the burst.
Yeah, they've just put the images out of the blue one, haven't they?
Yeah, but they've done a red one.
Oh wow, okay.
The red one looks absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
So this here, if I've got enough width here, 5 inches of this, I've got some nice black line, I've got some flame in it. That's going to be front wood as well. However, this stuff here, that's going to be a body.
Yeah.
So it defines itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's got nothing. It's got nothing really going for it. The only thing it's got going for it is it's on perfect quarter again. All of my wood, I aim to have a quarter sawn, which is premium.
Yeah.
Quarter sawn means that if you've got the tree there like that, it's the bit that comes through the middle here.
Yeah.
Through the middle there, through the middle there. You can look it up on the internet.
Yeah.
There's a whole load of YouTubers who explain over and over again quartz sawn wood is, and it's, quartz sawn wood is great. Got to use it, man. You know.
Yeah. What's coming across is it's this detail.
Yes. Yeah.
Though, and it's the attention to detail that you're putting into your instruments.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, we'll talk about the sound, but all of that detail has to have an impact.
The philosophy behind it, Kevin, is very simple. God gave me this wood. He expects me to do the very best I can with it. That's where I'm honouring. So when somebody comes to buy an instrument from me, my wife says, "You're terrible, Pete. You hold it in your hand like this and here's your instrument. You can't let it go because you..." And I say to them, I have not made this for you, I've made it for God. Because there's a Shaker principle which says, hands to work, hearts to God. In other words, the value of what you do is in your work. And if you can take something which has died, and this would be interesting to Christians and my philosophy here, it's died, I resurrect it. I resurrect it, and with God's help, we create something of beauty and magnificence that takes your breath away. If you're aiming for that, you will try to be perfect in all that you do, but you won't be perfect in all that you do, because there's only been one perfect person. And nobody wants to go down that road because he ended up in a pretty bad place. But the point of the matter is, if you look at the wood and you treat it with respect, and you have a belief in it, and you look at it and you think, wow, I can make something out of you.
Yeah.
I can give you new life.
Mm.
So that's where the perfection, the seeking of perfection comes from, is not necessarily because I want to be the best or I want to do a good job. Yeah, everybody wants to be the best. But I want to honour something which has been given to us, which very few people get to do.
Mm.
Very few people get the real privilege of taking a bit of wood and passing it through the saw and see it come out and see that beauty just take your breath away. Just absolutely take your breath away, because it's got to be about the most beautiful thing on the planet apart from your baby. You know, your babies, they are just something else. But this comes really close to that wonder. And every time I'm at my saw cutting wood, I go through the same process of feeling grateful and awe-inspired and thinking, what can I do with this? I can't wait to get it and process it and start and see what instrument it's going to make. It excites me that much.
I think that's the thing that's amazing after 30 years of doing it. I think, people, just in life, the more they do something, the more they take it for granted. And you don't seem to take this for granted at all.
I don't take this life for granted.
No, but I think that's where... But that shows in your ukuleles. There's something about your ukuleles that, again, when you talk about God and you talk, it's sometimes hard to put your finger on something. It's hard to answer why. But with your ukuleles, it's that same thing. Yeah. It's hard to say why a Pete Howlett ukulele has this.
But involving God in that conversation is not a cop out.
No.
It's what I believe. It's how I think. And so, there is a spiritual context to what I do. It is important to me. I do want it noted. I do want people to know that it is not an artificial crutch that I'm leaning on.
No.
It's a partnership I have with this creation. I don't want to play this too much because it's got this really flat finish.
Right.
It's very easy to damage.
Yeah.
And but no, this is like a duck.
You're beautiful to watch play. Your fingers are when you got them fingers that sit so close to the fretboard.
Yeah, I noticed the thing about Gary Davis when he was playing was the economy of movement. But I mean, you compliment me. I mean, I just think I'm so terrible these days.
Well, not at all. But it's like if you watch Segovia. He's got the chubbiest fingers. He's got little sausage fingers, but they barely move. Yeah. And Bream's the same. If you watch them, there's just this economy of movement on here that you have. I don't. When I watch videos of myself, I get angry because my fingers are out here. I spend my life telling my students to keep their fingers close to the fretboard. But there you go.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly.
That was something I wanted to ask you, because so Carla now making the Revelator, and when we were at Gunnuf, they had 4 there, which I tried, all very different from each other, to my ears and playing anyway. If you're making the same model, so if you made 2 of these, how different apart can they be? Completely worlds apart?
The worlds apart has stopped, but then they're very close. But I am just so terrified when I make them, because what happens is we go to Ukulele Festival and everybody gets out their California style tenor, and they have got to be so similar in sound that only somebody with a sound engineering background will be able to differentiate between the two. And of course, with ukulele, I think one of the things that I stress and is really, really important to me, and ought to be important to anybody who's building these, is firstly, they're folk instruments. They're not sophisticated instruments like violins or classical guitars, for that matter. Secondly, they're supposed to sound like they're supposed to sound. They're not supposed to sound like something else. So you can't coax a guitar sound out of this instrument. It doesn't have the size body, it doesn't have the bracing structure, it doesn't have the resonances, it just doesn't have what it takes. It is really always going to be a ukulele.
Yeah.
And you know, if there's anything to come out of this interview, this time with me, that is what I'm about. I'm building ukulele and I'm building folk instruments. I'm building them better than folk quality instruments, which is something completely different.
Yeah.
I'm building these like they are.
Yeah.
Boutique.
Yeah.
You know, the boutique builder, the boutique guitar builder. I am a boutique ukulele maker. Yes, folks, we exist. So should we talk about Revelator, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so as far as how the Revelator occurred, I've managed to salvage some of the bits that were left over from the detritus of full starts and stuff like that. And this is the earliest iteration of anything which resembles an acoustic chambered instrument. This has got a completely hollow body here. These were called the Firefly. They never were successful in terms of sales, but I love the shape of the body.
It makes me think of a Fender Jaguar.
It's not. It's actually a copy of a guitar by a guy called Micah, M-Y-K-A, an American bass guitar. Look him up. His work he's not all over the place, but his work is absolutely stunning. I looked at it. I thought, oh, that would make a nice ukulele.
So it's like a squashed Jaguar.
Yeah.
There's another one. There's a Fender Tornado that it's a bit like a squashed one of them as well.
Go to Micah's website and David Micah, I think his name is, and see what he does. But very unusual, not mainstream American guitar builder, but beautiful, beautiful work. Got in touch with him. I said, "Can I use your body to make ukulele?" He said, "Yeah, absolutely fine." So
Wow,
cool with it. Then,
so that was the very first one.
So that's Neanderthal. that's Neanderthal man.
Right,
We don't have Homo erectus somewhere over there, but if you were to look at it to talk about how things evolve, this was my first foray into acoustic chambered electroacoustic instruments. I used to make a solid body, little Martin, little Les Paul style thing. Phil Dolman of the when he was with Re-Entrance, he played the first one. Gigged it for 175 gigs. So
it's about 3 weeks of them as well.
Yeah. Okay. So then we came to the chambered instrument, which looked like that, and this was the first iteration, which is now called the Night Owl. So when Carla get around to doing this, they have this design as well. They should have this with the offset sound hole. You'll notice that the actual ring in the sound hole is deeper than the thickness of the fingerboard. Okay. These should have been quite thicker. Thinking about Tornavers. The idea is to make sure that the sound hole is not floppy.
Right.
If the sound hole is stiff, the bass response is accentuated on the instrument. So the floppier the sound hole, the less bass response you get from a ukulele.
Right.
Tommy Ziegenspec, get in touch with him if you want to have a long conversation about that. Okay. Tom did a thesis on it or something like that for his German degree in musical instrument making. So this is how they were made. Eventually we got two bits of carino glued together, clamped down on a CNC machine, machined out. Obviously I've got my tool paths all wrong here. This is a reject. But the first ones didn't have an all carino top. They had a spruce top, bound sound hole, and they originally wanted to call them deacons. But somebody said that's the connotation is too religious. You'll put off a lot of people, so I capitulated. And my ukulele name whisperer, Paul Tucker, shout out to Paul, named many instruments of mine. Said this is a complete revelation. It's a Revelator. Okay. So here we come to this is a very rare Revelator, not completed. It's a concert Revelator. So concert size, but here you can see this is how the actual interior works. So you have this machined area here, this very important construction around here to support the sound hole, and 3 braces. This one probably had 3 or 2. These were done these were made in a very special way. I think that one goes there. These were made as part of my production line idea. And in the top here, you can barely see it, but there's the cutout for the brace to sit in there. So this was my idea, was I would make an instrument which would be able to be constructed by anybody, because everything went and snapped together. So it's like an Airfix kit, Airfix plane kit, and then that would go on there. Then came the light bulb moment. I'd always put my tops, so I'd brace the top so there would be about 22-foot radius curve, and I would put it flat on there. So kind of when it went on here, it would curve and go like that at the sides. I then started to sand this area here, so that was a radius, and we can see that on another instrument in a minute. And you'll notice that, so I first began by sanding this area here, and I thought, well, no, let's sand the whole area. And that was the final iteration of the Revelator. Now you'll notice here, this is that. In fact, the constant model is not called a Revelator; it's called a Nautilus, because this is the Nautilus seashell.
Oh, beautiful.
This was, again, I was experimenting to try and find out how to get the best finish on the outside. There's a lot of vibration. Once the interior is cut out, when you come to cutting the sides here, there's a great degree of vibration, so you end up with quite a gnarly surface. It takes a long time to sand out. So this surface is, you hear it?
Yeah.
It's cutting. That was an experiment in cutting vibrations. These instruments just had the spruce fronts, were bound, so we used this jig here to pre-bend the linings. All sorts of processes that went into producing your Revelator, which are no longer used now. And I refined it and refined it and refined it, and their process now is produced in exactly the same way. This is the that's the actual K1 Carla. So this was the eventual neck design I came up with Carla. So what did I learn about the Revelator? One, the sides have to be stiff and the back has to be stiff.
Besides, looking at these, they're thicker than what you would expect.
Yeah.
Not seeing them, aren't they?
I got to this machine thickness by disaster, obviously. You take it to the limit and then you dial back.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5mm is about as best as you can get. But it's this rigid side with a rigid back and a front which is nice, thin and flexible, but stretched on a continuous sphere. So if we go to something where you can actually see that physically, you take a look at this on the bench here. This is the very British ukulele, my retirement design, if you like. So if we look at this, okay, but the front also. So this back here is radiused on a dish. It goes on the washing machine thingy.
So that's interesting, because when I picked that up, I was going to say to you, it's got a flat back. I didn't realise it was curved, because when I looked at it, it looked flat. But now I'm looking at it, and it does look curved.
You can see,
No, this radius is this one here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this spins in that, on that potter's wheel.
Right. Oh, wow.
Okay, hold it there. And you'll notice the bracing in the back is an X brace. The reason for that is, of course, I mean, why would you put braces across here when you've got a sphere there?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're fighting against each other, aren't they?
Yeah. So let's put an X brace across here and let's maintain the nice sense back. So got this nice reflective back, and then if you look here on the edge here, there, and there, we have got a traditional bog standard ladder brace. Now it should not work and project, because ladder bracing was what they used on cheap guitars.
Right.
All those great sounds that you get from Lemon Jefferson and Blind Blake and stuff like that, washbone guitars ladder braced. minimal bracing. About 3 ukuleles ago, I thought, I'm fed up with this V-bracing that I was using. We'll put a V-brace here, and that one over there's got a V-brace on.
Right.
But with V-bracing on here, reverse V-bracing was working really quite well. It has a nice bass. I think the treble's probably slightly weak as a result of it, but it was great as an experiment. But then I thought, I'm fed up with this. I'm chopping, because what you have to do is you have to cut into the brace that goes across here. I probably best demonstrate it like this. These are templates of initial kind of templates. You can see that I've got a bridge plate that goes side to side.
Yeah.
Unusual. Okay. Now what I did is I looked at a classical guitar by Boucher. Didn't make many guitars, but a very famous builder, and he had a brace that went right the way across. And I wondered why. And I've been doing that now for years. I'm the only maker that puts a brace, a bridge plate or a brace, right the way across. But the problem with that is that when you put a brace up this way, you have to straddle that, so you have to notch it. Notching means you're cutting away the part of the brace, so you're weakening it. Not only that, it's a bit faff to get it right. It takes a long time. So I thought, right, ladder bracing, yeah, let's try it. And Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. It made absolutely no difference whatsoever to the sound.
Right, yeah.
But what it did make is a lot of difference to me building. Easier. I have Parkinson's, so I have to find ways of circumventing the loss of precision in my motion and movement.
Right.
I can do everything. I can carve a neck as good as anybody. You know, when the guys from the Ukulele Underground came to Cheltenham Festival, they said, "Have you CNC'd your neck?" In other words, have you machined your neck? I said, "No, that's carved by hand." You know, oh. Yeah. And that's what I learned. I learned, why have you been going down this road of following these tropes that we trundle out all over and over again? It must have fan bracing, it must have this, it must have that. It doesn't. It's a folk instrument. You can define what it was. And if you find a way of building and it turns out okay, do it for goodness sake. Yeah. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. For instance, traditionally you should have a brace across here and a brace across here.
Yeah.
I haven't got that. What I've got is, if you feel in there, Paul.
It's quite high up.
Feels like a donut, doesn't it? It's
yeah.
Here, to the edge here.
Oh yeah. So right. Is that to thicken the sound hole?
That's to thicken the sound hole, to make it stiff and rigid, to increase the bass response.
On a basic level, that is stopping an amount of vibration?
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's what's helping the bass.
According to Tommy Zing spec. So Tom, get in touch with these guys and explain to them, because I can't. Tom did a traditional luthier's apprenticeship in Germany, so it's a master's degree, and his certificate has got the actual certificate's this big, because his actual title is that long. Right. In German, and it's a fretted stringed instrument maker. That's all one word in German.
Oh, wow.
And it's about that long. But he's the only luthier I've ever met, because he's got a certificate which says luthier.
Right.
So many people, and this is a rant, folks. So if you're going to put this in, Kevin, tell people to move on to the next section. Do not call yourself a luthier unless you have done a course which gives you a certificate which says you're a luthier. Mm-hmm. You are a maker. A luthier is somebody who has had a luthier training from somebody who's a luthier qualified person. And the only way you get that certificate is in Germany or Italy. So it's a suite of instruments. So if you take a look at just these two alone, hold them together. You see them?
Yeah.
That's because I bought them from a guy called Josh. His wife Elaine runs a wood service in the UK, and he manages Koa Forest, and
Really?
he still has to buy the logs that he takes out of there.
Yeah.
And they cost thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
But very few make it to master grade, which is what that is.
Yeah. Lovely.
That's the 8-string body.
Oh, okay.
So it's exactly the same as the. If you look at those together,
Oh, yeah.
see the same figuring.
So these are all going to one person.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's a nice collection, isn't it?
He's my biggest fan.
Yeah.
That's the 8-string
Yeah.
neck,
Okay.
Gavin Dust, and Tamani Gardner 5-string.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they'll be working on those this week.
Wow.
This is Serbian or Bosnian walnut, which is, I thought was going to be a great buy, but it was a nightmare. Difficult to saw, difficult to work, but produces a lovely instrument. The concept behind this is that we have a ukulele that is kind of recognisable as a British ukulele, even though it wasn't made in Britain.
Right.
So it's based on the Daviki style, and Daviki style is this kind of very elongated look to it. It's not got the Hawaiian sort of tummy at the bottom there. As much as I can, I'm building them from wood that can be obtained in Europe. So that would be, I'd obtain the walnut in Europe. It'll just so difficult to get the figure, because I want to charge a lot of money for these, and you can't use plain wood for that. It's got to have something going for it. This top is master grade moon spruce, comes from a company called Florinet in Switzerland. It's got the beautiful silking, which is the figure that goes across there. And the feature of these instruments is they're going to have these unique rosettes. There is 48 pieces, separate pieces there in that rosette, to be cut on the machine. And similarly, this is what I'm concentrating on now in my work, is producing parts which are complex and add decoration to the instrument. So the next thing to think about is the clamshell, what I call the clamshell. In other words, most ukuleles will have, or musical instruments which are acoustic, will have a shallow neck end and a deep butt end.
Right.
This is not. The other unique thing about this is that it's going to have a 10 fret join to the body.
Okay.
So that places the bridge fairly low down here. In fact, the position of the bridge is about there. And the flat headstock, I'm done with slotted headstocks. Folks,
Right.
I'm done with slotted headstocks. Repeat after me. Okay. I was the first one to do them in any quantity back in the 90s. But I don't think they add anything or subtract anything to the instrument. They are quite hard to keep clean and maintain. The dust traps. It's really difficult to find good quality tuners that are scaled for the ukulele. 200 plate tuners can be produced by Rubner in Germany, but they're very expensive, and I'd much rather have a flat headstock. It's just logical. I can get my logo on there and other things.
The 10th fret being here, initially when you play it, that would be quite weird, won't it? It would for me, because I'm used to, if I want to think in guitar, if I want to slam up to the 12th fret, I use that as a stop. So I'm not going to be able to get to the 12th fret there because there's no cutaway, is there?
Are you saying to me that you don't know your fretboard?
I am saying to you I don't know my fretboard. not when you keep moving the frets.
I'm only joking with you, Paul. Obviously, yes, I know there is a mind shift that has to go, but the strange thing is, if you're a player, you can very quickly adapt to that.
Yeah. It's no different to changing from a concert to a tenor.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes, you're on it.
Yeah.
This, to me, has classical written all over it.
Of course.
Which, sings to me. I cannot wait to see it. I'm annoyed at Alex for getting the first one, but we'll let him off that.
Yeah, but your man here has had a twang on it.
I've had a play on it, yeah.
Yeah. Can I compare that to where the bridge is on a normal uke? Can I
Yeah,
compare
let me just.
time?
I can draw it for you
I'm
using the
thinking
scale. That position there. Is the 12th fret.
Okay.
So it's slightly over the so-called sweet spots there. 10th places it there.
So you've got 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches.
You're
Blimey,
moving it
old
out
money.
of
Yeah,
that
sorry.
spot, aren't you?
You got 3 centimetres. 30 mil.
32 actually. We really want to split millimetres. Yeah, so what you see there is what I would consider that to be the ideal position is probably about there. The compromise, if I just have it there at the 10th fret, it gives you a lot of dynamic playing area here.
Well, that's what I wanted to come to, because so if I'm playing, let's say, well, normally here, to play what I would call dolce, I've got to come up here, and to play ponticello, on this one I've got to come quite a way back to the bridge, haven't I?
Right, yeah.
Which will effectively, potentially give me more range.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is an exciting thing, because, you know, on a lot of ukes, you're not getting that much between going back, or you've got to go a long way back. Whereas here, to get that, what I call metallic sound, I'm going to have to come to about here, aren't I?
Well, we will have to see, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
It's going to be ready in a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
Can we just see the back of it again, please? Will that will that get much darker?
Yeah, we can do the splash test on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So not much change.
Well, it will get darker.
Yeah.
The striping.
Yeah. Look at that coming out.
That's they call that curl in America.
Yeah.
This is a blues guitar I'm building for my former barber. And if you are at all knowledgeable about your guitars, you'll notice that that is a Gibson Nick Lucas inlay set. Only the star should be up here, and then we're going to have a fancy abalone rosette and border. But you'll notice if I put this together with
Okay.
can see where we're coming from, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is because one thing that I've noticed, I don't know that I particularly knew about you, is the love of the blues. And when Paul picks up an instrument, he'll play classical. When I pick up an instrument, I'll play whatever I can play, whatever that is. And your automatic, everything will be blues.
Everything will be the minor third. Everything.
But is this, to me, the look of this, and when I played it that almost now makes sense to me, as in this is almost like a folk blues ukulele.
I think it's with any instrument, you make of it what it is. When Martin Simpson picked up that thing over there, you know, the pseudo harp guitar, he played exactly what I thought he would play on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ukulele doesn't have, in the guitar world, you have parlour guitars, you have blues guitars. There's certain guitars that you play for certain styles of music. There's country music, there's certain guitars that you'll play.
Yeah, that's true.
The ukulele, now it has resonators like Phil Dolman will use and things like that. But in...
About it, isn't it? That's the only one that sticks out.
It doesn't tend to have that. It seems to me like this...
Mutations it doesn't have.
No, and this maybe could sit into that little sort of folky blues. I mean, not that I want an instrument can be played anything.
I think it will always be a folk instrument. I'm using that word as a generic word for an instrument which can straddle all styles, is an everyman's instrument.
Yeah.
unlike a violin. Violin is not an everyman's instrument. It's a really subtle instrument that has to be played by somebody who's got musicality. You know, if they're not musical, they will never make that violin sound good. And it takes about 7 years before you get your tone.
Yeah.
You know, so unlike a ukulele, I made one for my daughter, taught her to play it in half an hour. 2 weeks later, we were playing on the Ukulele Great Britain Society stage down in Surrey or wherever it is, you know, where 13 people on stage with banjo ukuleles playing, and I'm cleaning windows, and it sounds like World War III. I think it is what it is. We'll see what it turns out like. This is the second one. If the second one is as consistently good as the first one, remember the first one had got reverse V bracing, so this has got the ladder bracing, which I've put on 2 instruments now, which Sus have had, which have sounded just as good as the standard bracing.
And is the plan to make these to order, or you'll go through a...
I don't know. I need to make and sell a ukulele a month,
right,
in order to keep the workshop. Not making any money. 2 ukuleles, I might be able to afford a foreign holiday a year on that. But I'm comfortable where I am. I have made my 1,000 ukuleles.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill Fellowship. So I met my goal there. I have become internationally known for my instruments. So tick that one off. I managed to sell a design to a major company. Tick that one off. I think I've been blessed.
Is this your last goal to achieve?
This is what I call my retirement legacy.
Yeah.
Most people when they start out have time to experiment, but I never did.
Right.
I was chasing bankruptcy. I had to put food on the table. In between I was singing on the streets to feed the family. You know, very difficult financial times. And so there was no time ever to think about what I was doing. I was simply copying and building on the copy that I made in that hotel room in 1994.
Yeah.
When I was asked to build a couple of ukuleles for a guy in Hawaii. So there's been no time to reflect. Now I've got time to do that. I'm thinking, right, well, I can do it. And it doesn't matter what the instrument sounds like. I've got enough experience to know that it's going to be playable. It'll have a good sound. If it doesn't, you stick a pickup in it. Most people want to pick up for goodness knows what reason, if they're bedroom players.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want to pick up in something, it's to put my electric guitar in and play 1,000 watts and blow my brains out. So that's what you have a pickup for, isn't it? And just Jimi Hendrix chords on a ukulele. But yeah, it is me saying, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
But heck, do I want to do it?
Yeah.
I can't envisage a time when I'm not standing in this room at some point in the week or day.
Yeah.
It's my time to be with God. It's my time to be with myself. It's my time to contemplate and think about things that I need to think about. I'm 68, probably got another 10 years on the planet. What do I want my footprint to be? Do I want it to be a heavy one in the sand? Do I want it to be a light one in the sand? Do I want it to just disappear quietly?
Do I want it to be a ukulele-shaped footprint in the sand? Kind of hope that someone's going to buy one of these ukes, play it for 30 years, and then they're going to give it to their kid, and it's going to be played by them for 40 years, whereas the cheap Macala's maybe going to be played for a year and thrown away.
And I do have emails from people who are saying, I've just inherited this ukulele from my grandfather's estate. Can you confirm that it is made by you? When is it made? And I go to my black book, and check when it's made and stuff like that. So
that's nice for them and you.
Well, I think what it says for me is that I have made my mark, what I intended to make, which is to be something in somebody's life that's significant, important to them, and that they can have that legacy live on in their family. So I've achieved one of the kind of submersive goals of the business. The goal of the business is to make money. You've got to be in business to make money, and it doesn't matter what sort of business it is. You cannot do it for the sake of it alone. It doesn't work like that. You just end up being Van Gogh or somebody like that, with a whole bunch of paintings and no money. So you've got to have that as a focal point. You're doing this to make money, but very, very closely behind that, in fact, standing beside it is you're doing it because you have that artistic drive to make, to create, to do that. Now that could be somebody baking cakes. I went to a church social last night and the food was great, and thank you, sisters. That was brilliant. And then I wish I could cook like that. I can cook, but not like that. So it's very much on the same thing. There has to be something fulfilling.
Yeah.
But the principal thing is, I'm doing this because this is my job. And my job is to put food on the table and make sure Mrs. Howlett has her thermal underwear.
Is that where we end the video?
It's all been about.
It's all about
Mrs. H's
it's all about
underwear.
Mrs. Howlett's thermal underwear.